Well, hello, this is Yuriskaja in Riga. I've been a bit remiss in keeping up with my Substack in terms of writing for it, so I'm going to do this video podcast to try to summarize what's been going on. Ever since the government of Ivica Siliņa, the Prime Minister of Latvia, resigned, there have been moves now to form a new government, with the president last Saturday nominating Andris Kulbergs, a first-term member of parliament from the United List, which is kind of a grouping of three parties: the Liepāja party, the various other parties, including the Latvian Association of Regions, the Greens, all of which was brought together before the 2022 election by a businessman from Liepāja called Andris Kulbergs, who also brought in some non-political supporters for this movement. But anyway, be that as it may, Kulbergs has a background mainly as someone who has been in the auto industry. He got his start in business working for what is now called TET, but was called Lat Telecom at the time, which was a telecommunications and internet company. He was a salesperson, and then he moved into the auto industry, and then became, I think, even running one of the auto industry lobby organizations in Latvia. And then he was brought into politics. He made a bit of a name for himself running an investigating committee on the progress of the rather disastrous Rail Baltica, which is running massively over budget, and also looking into other matters of importance here. He has now managed to bring together four parties: his own United List, the National Alliance, the Greens and Farmers Alliance, or Greens and Farmers Union, as some others call it, the ZZS, and the new Unity Party of the retired, or not the retired, but the resigned Prime Minister. The Greens and Farmers, of course, came in under a cloud because their Minister of Agriculture, Armands Krause, is a suspect in a major scandal, which was sort of announced by the prosecutor, as he and others being among 10 suspects, both from government agencies and from the Latvian state forest company, Latvijas Valsts Meži, as being involved in a scheme to give support to certain timber companies to the tune of almost 50 million euro for losses or problems that actually didn't exist. And this was today, and I'm speaking on Thursday. It was confirmed by the state audit office here in Latvia that, this was quite a disastrous misspending of funds. Be that as it may, the four parties have sort of agreed to keep the peace with each other, to evenly share the number of government ministries in this kind of temporary or interim government that they're going to form until the elections are held in October. And they have also agreed to a certain set of priorities. They're going to look very much at defense as a top priority, defense and national security as a top priority. They are going to have another look at the budget. Judging from, I think, what Mr. Kulbergs has been saying, he's going to try to look to find where some spending can be reduced or savings can be made and inefficiencies can be eliminated in the budget, and do this sometime, in the next couple of months. And they have also agreed not to sort of step on each other's feet by raising issues where the parties have serious differences. One of them being that the Latvian government, the previous Latvian government, was all for keeping the country as a member of the Istanbul Convention on Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, which, thanks to some people called it treachery of the Greens and farmers in the last vote on this issue, resulted in Latvia actually denouncing this rather important international human rights treaty. But then that was put off by the president, putting a kind of veto on it and saying, let's wait until after the October elections, and expecting that the October elections would just come on schedule, at which they will, of course. But now with this big bump in the road with the present caretaker government of Evika Siliņa and her ministers having resigned. One of the reasons for the resignation was, as I think I explained in my earlier written Substack, was the whole thing with the drones flying in here and the insufficient air defense, as some people saw it. Well, that has continued. There have been several drone alerts. There was even a drone shot down over Estonia, and the story is that the drone was shot down over Estonia because the Latvian air defense radars tracked it, and the Latvian air controllers helped the NATO fighters that were from Romania, F-16s, to chase the drone and shoot it down over Estonia. And then there were a couple more drone incidents after that. The most serious consequences of these incidents are not so much that some drone has fallen somewhere, or crashed or disappeared, but that the lives of in Latvia of up to 260,000 people have been disrupted every time there's a drone alarm. An important centralized exam for ninth graders in the Latvian language was stopped, at least in eastern Latvia, when the drone alarm sounded. And then again today, I believe, because it happened because of the physics test being suspended. And general chaos. Trains were not running, trains stopped. A lot of workplaces, schools were emptied of children. They were either told to go down into the basement or to shelter in place in safe windowless hallways, and there's just a lot of disruption. And there is a certain danger that this may keep happening, because I think the Ukrainians who are firing these drones that are being diverted over the Baltic countries by electronic warfare or whatever the Russians are doing to try to keep them from hitting targets in the St. Petersburg area, the oil ports up there at the end of the Gulf of Finland. If that keeps going on, then these drone alerts may become a daily occurrence here in Latvia, and certainly that will not make people big fans of the Ukrainians, who really can't do very much to prevent that, because the best pathway for hitting the oil ports and doing critical damage to Russia's ability to finance the war is to fly these drones pretty close to the Baltic borders, because if they fly further east, they may fly into the rather dense, or so it is said, air defense zone around Moscow. Although we've seen how dense that defense zone is, because there've been a number of major drone strikes directly on Moscow, on oil facilities and pipelines and stuff like that. When the president appointed Andris Kulbergs to form a new government, he also gave him until the 25th to come up with a kind of provisional list of ministers and a draft government declaration, which actually they've sort of come up with that in a document that the four parties signed, where, in addition, as I said, to defense, they also prioritized holding safe elections. That's been an issue because the last municipal elections, which were supposed to have been electronically registered and counted, they turned out to be if I may, instead of using the word Latvian word bardaks, the closest American words is they were a total clusterfuck in terms of the counting process. So, and there have been doubts cast upon a number of Latvian IT companies that were involved in some kind of unpleasant arrangements in IT procurement. So that is where we sort of stand. And the first thing I'm going to do after I finish this recording, which may be a little bit chaotic, is I'm going to go into the news agencies again and see if there hasn't been a drone alert, which I would not exclude that we will see a few more drones flying or straying into Baltic territory over the next couple of days, and that may become the new normal for us until something happens to end the war. And the best way for the war to end would be for Russia to stop fighting, cut a deal, and pull out of the territories that it claims in Ukraine. But we'll see if that happens. So for now, this is Andris Kulbergs signing off from Riga, Latvia.